Law is all about common sense. There is nothing more. Law does not only mean that you go to the court and argue. Anyone can become a lawyer. Give some more of yourself to the relationship and then decide. Women who come for any kind of matrimonial issues, we charge zero. Also, we are very reasonable with them. Women need that little extra thrust because a woman has to do twice to be considered half as good as a man. Dedication, hard work, and sincerity. That will take you places.
ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. Welcome to Real Celebrity Podcast, powered by C. Krishna Chetty Group of Jewelers. These are stories of extraordinary women. Today we have someone extraordinary from the field of law, an expert with 31 years of experience. We have Dr. Rama Iyer with us, managing partner of Ayana Legal. So let's welcome ma'am to the show. Ma'am, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
So I'm very curious and in fact I'm very excited about this whole episode because law is something very new to me, so I'm going to sit like a kid. I might sound a little kiddish while I'm asking the questions, but I'm here like a very curious kid who wants to know about this field, which may really help a lot of people
Sure.
who have no idea about it. Well, thank you so much for joining us, ma'am.
Thank you.
First,
Thank you for having me.
let's know a lot about you and let's understand few things that we want to know about you.
Sure.
Tell us about your early days, and before that, tell us about what all you do today.
Today, that's a very loaded question. Okay, so yeah,
I'm sure I saw your profile and I was like, oh my God, ma'am does so many things.
Yeah, there are a few things that I do and I would want to do more, but then let's see how things go. Well, I'm the managing partner of Ayana Legal. We are a multidisciplinary law firm, meaning that we handle all areas of law. We cater to all areas of law. My legal journey began 36 years ago when I enrolled for the law course in the University Law College, Bangalore. Right now, I do this, and then I also am the director of the women's wing of International Council of Jurists, and I also run a center for gender studies and law. So these are the basic things. Law itself takes
A lot
most
of your
my
time.
time. Yes.
Fantastic. So where are you from and which city born and brought up, and your parents' background?
Okay. My parents are from Kerala,
Okay.
and they moved to Bangalore for work, and I was born and brought up in Bangalore as my siblings, and we grew up in Bangalore. I had my initial education and then I did my law, as I told, in University Law College, and I did my master's from National Law School. So yeah, I've been Bengaluru Hudgi all along.
That's fantastic. Out of so many professions, why law? That too before 35 years ago. What inspired you to take up law?
When I decided to do law, I didn't know much about what law was. I was more enamored by the legal profession because I had read as a kid who was in class 5 or so about how lawyers had helped the freedom struggle and how they are a strong kind of force behind development. So I wanted to be part of that. I wanted to do something for the society. So with that in mind is when I decided that I should do law. And as I grew up, that resolve became stronger. Though there were some kind of hesitation, I would say, from different quarters, whether it would be a woman's world in the field of law. So, you know, that really brought about some hesitation in whether I should do law, but my parents were very supportive.
Okay.
They wanted me to do what I wanted to, even right from my young age, whether it was rock climbing or anything, they would support me. Yeah. So my
So I think
parents
isn't
have been,
it very well-known fact that if a woman has to be successful, first thing she would definitely have a supportive parents. Second thing, she would have someone from their home like a brother or a sister who's backed them up. And third, there is always a supportive husband.
in my case, I wouldn't want to talk about everyone because I do not know about the experiences of other women lawyers, but there have been many lawyers I know who have had supportive family, and some have come despite their family, despite the opposition in their family, they have risen to the heights that they are. But talking about my family, yes, my parents have been a great deal of support because they were the ones who let me do law, and later it was my husband who kind of supported me in all the things that I do. Of course, my siblings also have been supportive, but they both are not in the field of law. So their support has been more from the mental perspective than anything
Emotional
else.
support,
Yes, that's it. And my children have been very supportive because I did my masters after they were born. And they are proud about anything that I do, even if the simplest of things. They are doing well in their lines of work. They have also been very supportive. And if there is anything that needs me to be away from them, they would be like the first, even when they were kids, they would tell, no, you have to do it.
You took up law about 35 years ago?
Yeah, I enrolled about.
Okay, 35 years ago. What were the early challenges in the beginning phase of your career? I think there were not too many women lawyers back then.
Yes, there were not many women lawyers then. I started my practice in Mumbai. There I found it difficult to get into, because I'm a first generation lawyer. There it was difficult to get into inner circle, as I would say, of lawyers. It was difficult, but later I got a good senior. And in Bangalore, I had a wonderful senior advocate who supported me through my journey. She was very understanding of the fact that there were compulsions at home also when I had a small 2-year-old girl at home, that I had to get back at times when she was not well, or she was very supportive because I was able to continue my profession despite all these issues that I had to balance, and I was allowed to by the senior. I could come where I am, and I would say God was kind. It is not everyone that gets this kind of opportunity.
True, true, true. Now, if we look at it, I have so many viewers who's watching this episode, and many of them would also be thinking that they want to pursue law, right? But is it very common that people, when you suddenly go ask a kid, a 12th standard kid or a 10th standard kid, what do you want to do? The first thing is, I want to become a doctor, I want to become an engineer. Law is something which doesn't come very as a very common thing, but I have also seen things changing these days and youngsters saying, I want to pursue law. So for them to start their careers, for somebody who doesn't have an idea about this field, what is your message and how do they begin, and what are the things that they have to keep in mind?
Well, earlier, at least when I joined law, medicine and engineering were the most sought after lines. But there were people in my batch who did not want to do medicine or engineering and then came and joined law. So ours was the 5-year course after the 12th standard. Ours was the second batch of the 5-year course. So we are more like the experimental batches. And this has come as a big success, that the 5-year course. So it is as professional, if not more sought after now than engineering also right now, because we have got all the national law schools established in different states and national law universities across, and National Law School of India, Bangalore is the pioneer in that. They started the whole thing. The entire thing has shifted now. Now there are kids who if they don't get into law, they go to engineering. So that tectonic shift has happened. And there are institutes also which impart training to crack the law exams. So we have CLAT now. CLAT as the admission test to get into law. So okay. Yes, it is, I would say, if not on par with engineering or medicine as lines of study, it is even higher.
Okay, that's great. So if somebody feels like they want to become a lawyer or wants to pursue law, how is that they kind of realize whether it's for them or not? What are the parameters? Is there anything like a parameter like, okay, is law for me or not? If this question comes to a student, how is that they figure out?
See, law is all about common sense. There is nothing more. Okay, law is just about common sense, and of course, there are laws, statutes, there are certain legislations, all that comes later. But then, if you have an aptitude to understand, if you can, first thing is you have to be aware. If you are aware and you know certain things, in law also, there are various branches like litigation, non litigation, and various advisory kind of practice. So there are lawyers who do not go to court at all, they only advise. And some are there who work only in mergers and acquisitions, the corporate thing. So when one company wants to take over another company, they advise only that, they do the due diligence for that. And then there's property law, where you look into the papers of the property and say whether it is marketable, whether people can buy that property. So those kind of lines are also there. Law does not only mean that you go to the court and argue. Okay, it's a world, it's a sea out there.
Right.
So if you ask me, anyone can become a lawyer. So you don't, but to become an arguing counsel or to become a lawyer who argues in the court, you should have the aptitude.
What aptitude is it all about? Like, what are the kind of attributes that the person should have?
First thing is you have to be aware, as I told. Common sense is most important. And third is for you to look at certain things and understand it well. So if you are able to understand things and you're able to actually put forth your thoughts in a proper way, then you can be a lawyer, you can be a successful lawyer.
With 31 years of experience in the field of law, if you could highlight and recall that most challenging case that you have ever handled.
There are quite a few cases across different areas of law, but as we are talking about women, there is one case where we used the Domestic Violence Act when it was passed, just a few months after it was enacted, to help a woman bring her child from Madhya Pradesh. It was a custody matter. For custody normally is filed, cases for custody is normally filed where the child is ordinarily residing. So the child was in Madhya Pradesh with her grandparents, and this lady here could not go there. So here we filed, and we went through a lot of highs, lows, and we used the Domestic Violence Act to make sure that the child was brought here. So she had to travel to Madhya Pradesh, she had to travel to Mumbai. So this girl's husband was alcoholic and he used to trouble her a lot. So she just couldn't handle him anymore. So she left the house and he went to Mumbai from Bangalore, where he fell sick. So her father-in-law forced her to go to Mumbai and take care of him. She refused, saying that she has a small baby and she can't do that, and she is done with this marriage, she can't go on with this. So what he did was, he came to Bangalore and told that the husband is doing very badly, he is very sick in Mumbai, and that he wanted to see the child one last time. So believing the grandfather of the child, she bought the to and fro tickets for the child and the old man to take the child to Mumbai and bring back the child the next day. That was the arrangement. But this man didn't come. He took the child to Indore, where they were staying. And he refused to bring the child here, saying that he is unwell. The husband is unwell and it is your duty as the wife to go and take care of him. And unless you do that, we will not give the child to you. Okay. So she tried through various ways to bring the child back, but she couldn't. There they were connected, politically connected. And
The woman is educated?
She is educated. She is educated. She's an engineer, but then she got married, love marriage and all that. And so love was blind then, and then she realized how that man was.
Finally, what was the verdict?
So we went to the High Court, we had to file habeas corpus and things like that. A lot of things happened, but in the domestic violence case, we were able to bring the child back. And the child now is 18 or 19 years old, and she's doing her education in UK.
Wow.
And she is very happy that this law helped her.
Ma'am, whenever we speak about women-centric and, whenever we address things like domestic violence, sexual harassment at workplace, or even family issues, a lot of times there's a factor that comes in like, okay, they are fighting for women rights and they're very biased and feminists are certain way and things like that. Is it like that, or is it a need to be like that?
Definitely, it is necessary to give some kind of impetus for women to come out and perform the way they do, because that is how they achieve equality. Initially, and even now, it is not a level playing field, because there are a lot of issues, lots of challenges that women have to go through. But having said that, as a professional, I have not found any kind of advantage or disadvantage being a woman. I have been treated just like any other professional, be it a man or a woman. So I have not seen that in the courts or anything. But then women as such, it is very much necessary, because the protective discrimination, as it is called, because to bring about equality amongst all, it is necessary to give all this. Because sexual harassment at workplace that we were talking about some time back, that in fact women have suffered sexual harassment at workplace and they did not have any place to go to complain. It had to be only under IPC, and that had to be outraging of modesty or something like that. It had to just putting a woman in her place as as the man might feel, was not considered to be an offense under IPC. So it was very much necessary that for a woman to be able to perform in the spheres to her full capacity, it was necessary to bring such laws. So I wouldn't say that these laws are biased against men or they are for women. It is very much necessary. Yes, it is required, because unless these are done, there will be no equality.
So what are the type of workplace harassments that happens, and how do women have to address it?
So any employer who employs 10 or more employees has to have an internal committee, that is internal complaints committee, established within all organizations. So if any woman, if she faces any kind of harassment at workplace from a man, then she can go and complain to the internal complaints committee. Okay. So the internal complaints committee will have one person who is in the higher authority or something as the chairperson of the committee. And it should also have a man and one external person in the committee. And they have conduct the inquiry on a receiving complaint as per the Sexual Harassment Act. Okay. The kind of complaints that can be given to the committee, the sexual harassment complaints that can be raised are, it can be verbal, physical, it can be sexual, even telling something, double meaning, so those kind of thing, or quid pro quo, employer or the boss or the superior might tell the inferior that if you come with me or you do something, then I will give you a bonus, I'll give you a promotion. So that sort of thing. And even not agreeing to some demands or something of the fellow employee, if the person is also kind of isolated, those sort of things can have a very bad impact on the mental health of the employee. So all this come under the sexual harassment.
Okay.
It need not actually be sexual in nature. It can be just because she is a woman.
Okay, we were talking about sexual harassment at workplace for women. But now let's address, because this is something which is largely ignored, sexual harassment or just harassment at workplace for men. What are the types and how do men really, address it?
See, there is the service rules and the disciplinary proceedings that every organization is supposed to have. So they will go under that. This is under law, mandated and so established. And that is required. The labor law, it is required that everyone is equal. Men and women, all are equal. So even this sexual harassment at workplace, that can, though it won't come under this act, it can take up other issues as well. But then the service rules and the disciplinary proceedings under the company, they will handle all that.
Is it not taken very seriously? Because I've heard cases where men were harassed, in fact, sexually as well, at their workplace by their women higher officials. In that case, isn't there a law to address that?
That is why they come under the company's service rules. It doesn't come under the POSH. Because see, the number of women harassed is much higher than men being harassed. So it is necessary to focus there. And we can't lose sight of the fact that women are the ones who need this extra impetus to have a level playing field. Otherwise, we will lose focus.
Okay.
So I do not say that men are not harassed. Men who are harassed can go under the disciplinary proceedings and under the service rules.
You know, the number of divorces in India is increasing largely. What are the major top 5 reasons for divorces today?
Well, there are grounds under the Hindu Marriage Act as to what could be the ground for divorce. So cruelty, adultery, desertion, or impotency can be one of the grounds, and another one is if they change the religion. So these are already laid as grounds, okay, under which we can go. Now, the increase in the divorce cases, if you see, people are more aware of what is okay and what is not. Earlier, things used to be, taken for granted. Like a woman who was working also had to do everything, all the household chores, take care of the children, and then go and work outside and come back. Even after that, she will have to do everything, at home. So that sort of thing, even many women do it today without complaining. If there are no complaints, it is fine. If she is not able to take it and she asks for help and that help is not forthcoming, so that sort of scenarios we see quite a lot. And economic abuse we see. So if a woman is not working and she is not provided for her needs, so that is also economic abuse. Or even a woman who is working but her entire salary is taken away and she is not being given that.
How common is this?
It's quite
issue?
common. It's quite common, and it's not
like the
that
entire amount that the woman earns
is taken away by the husband or in-laws. That's very common. That's very common. And it's not that they have to be in the lower strata of society. Some are even directors in companies who say that, they don't have, though they have power and dominance in the workplace, at home they do not.
That's quite surprising to know. And are women okay with it?
Some are okay with it, but some are not.
What do you mean by some are okay with it?
Some are okay with that, because I've met a few people who have come a few times complaining about the harassment at work, at home, but they do not want to take that step of, putting their foot down. So they will come and ask and find out about their rights and go back and live the same life. Some are there like that, but many are coming out of that. So even men, for that matter, they realize that certain things are not okay. So even comments, she's a girl, what can she do? That sort of comments are also not okay. That stereotyping, that is reducing amongst men also. I see quite a bit of awareness is there. When this awareness is not there in the men, and then the woman becomes aware of her rights, that is when she comes to exercise her right.
I want to be a little diplomatic here and ask you, earlier the divorce cases were very less, because there was this factor when we hear out our elders saying that ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಬೇಕು, ಜಗಳ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಕಾಮನ್ನು, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮದುವೆ ಅಂದಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ತೊಂದರೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಯು ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಫೋಕಸ್ ಆನ್ ರಿಸಾಲ್ವಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮೂವಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್. Is that resistance going very low in women today, that they're not ready to adjust and they're not ready to resolve things, but rather go for a destructive ways, saying that, okay, I cannot handle this anymore?
No. I don't think that is happening. Patience level in both men and women have come down. That is definitely there. Maybe because of the stress of life or whatever, but then we see that has come down. And also adjustment has to be from both sides.
Right.
For any family to be happy. If the woman is not happy, the family is not happy. Right. So if it is not there from both sides, then that doesn't work. Many women try to resolve it themselves. They try to compromise, try to reason out. ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. That is there. But some are there who come within a week of marriage saying that things are not working out. And
what could be a reason? I mean, tell us some of the reasons why someone can come out of a marriage within a week and say, no, this is not working.
A major thing is they realize that whatever was told before marriage was not actually true. Maybe age of the man or his qualification, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ತುಂಬ ಕಾಮನ್ ಆಗಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. So those things, or even the financial security that they would have told that the family
regarding
enjoys,
the job
enjoys, yes, all that, you know, those things are there. And also sometimes compatibility between them. They decide that they are not compatible. We ask
you
them
mean
to
sexually compatible?
Can be sexually compatible, emotionally compatible, all that. You know, they think that if they come and, you know, get out of the relationship within a week or so, I mean, having lived for a week or so, and then they're able to come out, then loss is lesser is the feeling. But then, well,
but where is relationship leading to with all of this?
I'm not saying that many people do that, but some do. Actually, I was just seeing yesterday in DNA, there was this report of the number of divorces in Karnataka is the second largest in India.
And
Maharashtra
first
is first, and Karnataka is number 2. That is what I read yesterday. I'm not sure as to if financial independence of the woman, that gives her more courage. Of course, that gives her the courage, but then it is not that they want to just end everything and come. But some are there who are not mature enough, is what I would say, because having got into a relationship, it would really make sense to test some more and give some more of yourself to the relationship and then decide.
Is there anything that women and men or couple have to look into as a precautionary measure before getting into marriage or getting into relationship, so that they avoid all this distress after marriage?
It is definitely advisable for them to have a one-to-one conversation on everything that they think is important in a relationship. It could be finances, it could be children, it could be where they see their life, and it could be their career, it could be anything. If the woman is very career oriented, but the husband thinks that after childbirth the woman has to stay at home, there is a problem. Right? So it is better they talk about it. Of course, prenuptial agreements are not legal in India, but they could definitely at least speak and find out if they are on the same wavelength and they see their life together going in the same direction.
Right. So I've also heard a lot of reasons in divorces which may sound very silly and not applicable for a lot of other people who's looking as a third person or on a bird's eye view. For example, I read a divorce case which said husband snores a lot, so that's why I filed a divorce and I cannot just live with it. As a lawyer, what do you think about these things?
See, it's very difficult. I, as a lawyer, when someone comes and tells me, I will have my own prejudices, biases, all that I will have to park aside. Because see, she might come and say that my husband is snoring and so I can't live with him. But that could actually be a serious problem, because if you're not able to sleep
every
at all,
single day,
I mean, that will tell on your health, both physical and mental. In case he is not able to understand that he needs medical help and he is willfully not going to address that, then that amounts to cruelty on her, because she is not being able to sleep, right? So they should be counseled and he should definitely take medical help. In the event he doesn't, and we can't trivialize that, because if we are able to sleep in a house full of snorers, it doesn't mean that everyone can.
Right. And some of the other reasons you have seen like this,
there is one.
Maybe it may look very silly for others, but it's actually a reason for them to,
there was one lady who came and told me that she wanted to file a petition because her husband would not even look at her properly. Okay, so in the sense that she would say that she would come and wear a new dress and come and stand in front of him and tell, how do I look? He would just look at her and say this, I mean, just nod. And she would tell a joke and he wouldn't laugh. And she had to tell him that it's a joke, please laugh, you know. So that sort of things, and she was finding it very difficult to live with him. So that was something that I found, if I put my prejudices and biases in place, my husband used to not laugh at any of my jokes earlier. I used to crack and I used to laugh myself. So I did not find that to be a big problem. But then for that girl, it will affect her mentally. So I can't allow my prejudice to affect the way in which I deal her case. So I have to go into her life. I have to think about what are the problems, and I have to find out if that is actually the problem or if that is the outer appearance for something that is actually bothering her.
Right. I have noticed and heard a lot of couples have issues with sexual compatibility. And when it is a sexual compatibility issue, a lot of times they can't voice it out or share it with someone or even speak about it. So there's always an internal emotional struggles that happens within themselves. Either of the couple are not happy or satisfied, or not sexually satisfied is the right word to use there. One of the partner wants to take divorce, the other partner says everything is okay, this is not such a big deal, and that person says no, I'm not ready for mutual divorce. In that case, how is that the other partner, it could be men or it could be women, how is that they really fight for it?
It has to be proved that the marriage was either not consummated or the person is not capable of performing his duties as a husband, or physically he is not able to.
How is that someone can prove it?
They are actually sent to the medical board for examination.
If the partner is not ready for all those tests.
See, the thing is, suppose I represent the woman. I file for divorce on the ground that, he has not been, the marriage is not consummated because he is impotent. Then we ask for direction from the court to send him for medical examination.
Okay.
So he can be sent for medical examination, and that can be a...
If proven, then
yes.
It can be,
that can
it
be
has
a ground.
to be mutual.
That can be a... doesn't have to be a mutual. It can be a contested. In the contested, on that ground, divorce will be granted.
Okay. And what are the post, for example, if both of them are filing a divorce mutually, I know it's getting a little, because I am representing a lot of women I have personally met and I have personally interacted with, and they always have this question and they don't know anything about it, and they really don't know whom to go ask, whom to speak to. So I'm probably asking in that perspective may not be applicable to many, but it may be applicable to a lot of them. So for example, what if it is mutual and what if it is not mutual? I have someone, for example, if I have a person and that person is going for a divorce and the other person is like, I want it mutual. And this person says, no, I want to give back the money of my parents, what they have spent. So if situation is something
like
similar to this, what are the things, where do they get really solution for this? They have to go consult a lawyer, or how do they really do it?
It will help to consult a lawyer because they will know their rights and where they stand and what they can expect and how long the procedure might take. For any mutual consent, for divorce by mutual consent, they should have been separated for 1 year. Under the Hindu Marriage Act, they should have been separated for 1 year, and they should file a mutual consent petition. Both have to file a joint petition in which there will be no allegations, no counter allegations, and they only talk about where they got married and when they stayed together last, when they resided together last. After that will be whatever they have decided together. It could be on children, if there are children, where the children will be and who will take care of the finances, and if there is joint property, joint bank accounts, so how that will be taken care of and who will take what. If there is visitation, who will get what visitation. If there are holidays, who will take the holidays, who will take decision on the children's future, everything. So everything that is discussed and decided will be put in the petition. Suppose there is no decision in regard to that, we have something called the mediation. So there are trained mediators, even Bangalore Mediation Center in Ayana Legal. I'm just giving you Bangalore thing, that
Yes.
it is there everywhere. So there, if they approach and say that we want to file pre-litigation mediation, where before filing the case, we want certain things to be resolved. There are trained mediators who will help in them understanding where they stand and what they can expect in court. So ultimately, the persons who are filing should decide, because it is ultimately their life, right? So in mutual consent divorces, it is possible for them to arrive at a happy, kind of settlement.
Settlement, yeah.
Settlement, it is possible.
Right, right. Ma'am, if I have to ask you, like, do you really, when as an ethical lawyer, what are the grounds you really look at these family issues? Is it like, for example, somebody comes to you and asks you for help? A lot of times I've also heard that lawyers are becoming too commercial and things like that. They don't give us time and all of that. How do you really address this, and what is your take on this?
See, in our office, I'm talking for myself. The women who come for any kind of matrimonial issues, we charge zero to, if they can't afford it. If they can afford it, we do charge our fees, because our office has to run, right? So that we do charge. And also we are very reasonable with women insofar as fees are concerned. But there will be nominal fees to be paid in the court that we see in case it is possible for the woman to afford, we make them pay. But who can afford, we charge our regular fees.
What are those cases that you really enjoy fighting and, addressing?
Law itself is fascinating. So I find it difficult to pinpoint as to what I enjoy doing. I enjoy doing what I'm doing. Okay, so, because each day is like a roller coaster. We have the highs, lows, and the adrenaline rush. So it's a wonderful profession, and I cannot imagine life without being a lawyer.
Okay, that's a very interesting thing, that how you put it. If I have to ask you, day in and day out, you're with this chores of things not going wrong and people coming and seeking for justice with you. There's so many negative things that you're hearing, a lot of fights and all of that. How does all this impact your mental health?
Initially, the first divorce case that I handled was a mutual consent case. That day, after the divorce decree was, the judgment was passed, both of them walked out. They were friends, okay? They just held hands and then they went. They sent sweets to our office. So that day I was shattered. I was wondering, what am I doing? They are so happy together, but then still they wanted a divorce. But then later I just realized that they were not meant to be together, but they can be friends, not as spouses. Okay, so that kind of relief, if I'm able to give, then I've done my job. Okay, so that kind of enlightened me to the fact that these sort of things should not really bother me much, because I'm doing my work in giving relief to a person, right? So when somebody narrates their problems, at that point, I definitely go through whatever they have gone through, but I only look at what solution I can give to them. So that makes my life better. So I try my best. I wouldn't say it doesn't affect me at all. It does at times, but I try my best to not get too involved in the case personally. Professionally, of course, 100% or more.
Amazing.
Yes. And of course, there are other things. Once I go back home, then there are certain other things that I do. I watch half an hour of television with family. That is something that I do religiously. So that half an hour really helps me, because I don't know, it can be anything. Then spending time with my parents and my husband is something that I do every day.
Okay.
Maybe just a few minutes, but still I do that. And of course, I do a little bit of painting and music and all that. So
Lovely.
it keeps me grounded.
So, ma'am, we spoke quite a lot of things. Have we missed out on anything while conversing? And do you want to put it out loud to all of them who are watching this?
So we have spoken about family and family related issues, right? So it's very important that everyone knows their role in the house, in the family, and contribute to their growth as well as the growth of everyone. That way it will be wonderful. And of course, we should also be cognizant of the fact that women need that little extra thrust, because a woman has to do twice to be considered half as good as a man. So it is very much necessary for that thrust. So if men understand that, and women also understand that men also go through different kinds of struggles, it will be a good society.
Beautiful, beautiful. For all of those who are aspiring to become lawyers, what is your top 3 advice?
One is, be persistent, go ahead, do law, become a lawyer in any field that you are passionate about, and you will never go wrong. It's very necessary to be hardworking, sincere, and dedicated. So these 3 things are very much necessary: dedication, hard work, and sincerity. That will take you places.
Fantastic. Last question to you. There are 2 people. One among it is always a guilty person. And if that person approaches a lawyer, how much does ethical values come to picture there?
Okay. So here, every person has the right to be represented. Whether he is guilty or not guilty, he has a right to be represented. So we have to see as to why he did certain act as what he did. If that is possible, it is not necessary that we will win that case. Okay. But it is his right to be represented in court. So we may have to tell the court that this is what it is, and if the evidence is weighed against him, then definitely he will lose the case.
So it was pretty much very, thought-provoking conversation with you. Some questions made me feel like, oh my God, is it still like this? And some are like, okay, I think we are evolving. With this conversation, what I realized is things are not like how it was before. Things have changed, and things are changing for betterment and things like that. I really hope, on this conversation, that brings me to a thought that I really hope world becomes more happier.
I'm sure.
People become more happier, make
Yes.
wise decisions,
Yes.
and they take precautionary measures before falling into a prey, or resolving, or after something goes wrong.
Yes, of course.
Become more conscious about their decisions and choices, and be very conscious about what they really want, what they don't want, and be strong enough to voice out when it is required.
Absolutely.
And take a stand for themselves, whether it's men or women.
Absolutely.
And I think world becomes much better and much more beautiful when we as individuals support each other. When
Yes,
men
yes.
support women and women support men, and go hand in hand. And that's where I
Absolutely.
think things will change and becomes much more beautiful.
Absolutely. As an eternal optimist, I'm sure things will be fine, and it will be a beautiful world.
That's really sweet. Thank you
Thank you.
so much, Rama ma'am.
Thank
It
you
was
very much.
fantastic having this conversation. And please seek guidance and support, whether it's mental health or legal assistance. Go to professionals. Don't take decisions on yourself. Don't ask your friend for a suggestion on a legal matter, or don't ask a friend a suggestion on a mental health issue. So go to professionals and seek help when it is required. With that, thank you so much for being here, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
It was great having this conversation with you, and I hope
Thank
it
you.
lights on to a lot of information for someone who needs it.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot for
Thank
coming.
you very-
All right, that's Real Celebrity Podcast, powered by C. Krishna Chetty Group of Jewelers. I'm going to see you with another interesting episode very soon. Until then, stay tuned.